Let's make a beat for Homixide Gang. Yo, welcome back. I hope you guys are doing well as always. Today I'm going to be breaking down this beat I made for Homixide Gang. It's kind of like a dark virtual, fast-paced beat. So I'm going to break down the loop first, and then I'll show you guys the drums after. So starting off, I'm just going to play the loop by itself so you guys can hear what that sounds like. So altogether, the loop sounds like this. So yeah, first off, we're at 148 BPM, and what I started with was this MIDI from Kersie. I'll put his ad on the screen and his links in the description. Go check him out. Originally, it was just like these full notes, like there wasn't any chops, but I chopped it up and I turned it into this. And then I'm using a sound from Serum. It's called Pluck Connect. It's from my Chrysalis sound kit. I'll put a link to all my kits in the description if you guys want those. So that's going to sound like this. And then for effects on that, I just have an EQ cutting out the lows. And then the next thing I added was another Serum with the same MIDI. And this one is from an unreleased bank that I'm working on. It's called Key OK. And for that one, I added this shaper box preset that just kind of like chops it up and stutters it and then compresses it a little so everything's kind of the same volume. And that's going to sound like this. So yeah, it doesn't really like follow what the MIDI looks like, but that's just because of the shaper box is like kind of chopping it up in a different way. And then next I added another Serum. It's called Key A Bell For Real. It's from my 2K stash kit. That sounds like this. So yeah, no effects on that one besides the EQ, just cutting out the low. And then the next thing I added was this bass, and it's from Alex Che's Onion Serum Bank. I use this kit a lot actually for any sort of virtual beats. It's called Bass Sketch, and what I did is just cut a bunch of the highs out. So originally it's like kind of glitchy and has a lot of high end, but I just cut that out so you can only get the low end. So that sounds like this. I like that sound just because it has its own kind of like automation built into Serum that kind of like tape stops the bass a little bit. So then the next sound was another Serum from this same MIDI before, but I'm using the key organ from Kersie's Shard Serum Bank. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. That's going to sound like this. So for that one, I have the shaper box preset. It's called Amiri Jeans. All it's really doing is kind of just filtering, like filter sweeping it, and adds like kind of that nice little high-end glitch sound that you hear. And then the last thing I added was this lead from Onyx's Crank Serum Bank. It's called Lead GLE. And what I found for this melody that I think worked the best was to have like all of the original like first couple layers are all pretty much the same, kind of acting as like a filling of the background. And then I have this lead that's kind of like dominant in the mix. And so that sounds like this. And for that I have another shaper box preset. It's from the Rift 2 sound kit by Alex Chase. It's called Stevia V2. So yeah, like I said before, you kind of have like all these first couple layers that are kind of ambient softer sounds, and then this like super distorted like harsh lead that just kind of gives it like the grittiness that I think it was missing. So moving on to the drums, the first thing I added was this snare. It's called Flawless Snare. It sounds like this. And then I added hi-hats. I went for like a little bit more of a metallic sounding hi-hat, just because it works kind of with the grittiness of this beat. And then I also, every other note, I just lowered the velocity a little bit, so it kind of sounds like a shaker almost more than a hi-hat. Then the next thing I added were these perk sounds. I'll separate them really quick. So the first one is just like another accent snare. And then I added an open hat. And then last thing for the percussion was just another snare. So then for the 808s for this beat, I used 3 different 808s. I used the first one from the Trinity kit. It's called Dom 808. And then I used another one from the Priority Stash kit. It's called 808 Zoinkers. And then I used this UFO 808. I'll just play all 3 of them together so you can see what they sound like. When I used to do, something that I've learned like kind of recently is that when I used to do 808 patterns, I'd always be afraid to like take the note super low. I used to only really go to like A sharp or A, but like for this one I dropped it all the way down to G just because I thought it sounded better down here than it was an octave up. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this beat. And then the last thing I did after I arranged it was I took the last hook and I rendered it out, and then what I do is I take this little like stretch button and I stretch it out 4 bars and leave the resample on, and then it plays like at a lower pitch but it's still like in key, if that makes sense. It just plays at like a lower format and it slows it down. So that's what like the transition sounds like this. Yeah, some cool little outro sauce. But other than that, that's it for this beat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know if you think this would be good for Homixide Gang. And yeah, also let me know what you guys want to see in the future for beats and etc. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow my Instagram. I'll leave all that stuff in the description. I'll leave all the kits in the description as well. But yeah, I'm going to play the beat and I'm out of here. Peace.